are here, so I would like to hear what they have to say with regards to your response. But you were advised to desist from the use of IGF without parliamentary approval. Are you adhering to this advice that the auditors gave?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, strictly, sir.
Can I hear from the auditors with regards to the narrative that the issue has been resolved?
The issue has been resolved, Mr. Chairman. Honorable Chairman, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. So we'll go to paragraph 395. Honorable Mills.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Now, Honorable Minister, your ministry incurred unjustified expenditure up to the amount of 412,850, and this was for consultancy, refund on medical expenses, support for funerals, and traveling by business class without basis, and approval from the Chief of Staff. We urge management to provide justification for the payment of this amount, failure of which they will be surcharged. Have you provided the justification for this travel?
Yes, Honorable Chair, and the auditors would confirm this. Each of them we have cleared.
Auditors, could you confirm if they've brought the justification?
Honorable Chairman, management responded that it would ensure that payments regarding funerals, medical refunds, and other expenses are in line with approved policies of the ministry or any relevant policies and circulars to regulate special circumstances, such as delegation to represent the ministry to limit costs.
But it wasn't a letter that they wanted from you. It was from justification from Chief of Staff.
No, we provided that. Sorry. Okay. We provided all the individual responses, and then the auditors assisted us with advised us on devising policies for funeral, policies for medical expenses, which they validated. And that is how we resolve the matter.
Auditors, have this issue been resolved? Because what I heard earlier didn't mean that the issue has been resolved.
Honorable Chairman, the issue has not been resolved. It has not been resolved.
Specific issue? Which specific issue?
That is in terms of the unjustified payment. Now, as at now, the Ministry internal policies have not been aligned with the Ministry of Finance guideline on payments relating to funerals and medical refunds.
Mr. Chairman, we've actually issued a directive. We've ceased such payments, and we have drafted a policy which they themselves advised on. So, sorry.
Mr. Chairman, the point is that that issue occurred. I mean, I'm talking about the usage of the internal generated fund for those exercises. And that issue already occurred, and they advised that we shouldn't continue that arrangement. So a policy has been drafted now, and it has been approved by the auditors. And that's the case. As it stands now, that's what we know.
Honorable Minister, we are not talking about IGF.
Yeah.
That's not what we are talking about.
I'm just trying to make a point to you that, excuse me, please. They are talking about we use some monies that were not supposed to be used. And I'm telling you that this is queries that were raised during the auditing. And they told us to respond. We responded. And they guided us to now come out with guidelines and policies so that in the future, that action will not recur. And it has been done. That is the point I'm making.
Minister, I think we are confusing the issues over here. The issue is, you spent 412,000 Ghana cedis on consultancy refund of medical expenses, support for funerals, and traveling by business class without basis and approval from Chief of Staff.
Mr. Chairman, we need to seek approval from the Chief of Staff, and it has been done. We mentioned to you earlier on, the Chief Director mentioned to you that approval was sought from the Chief of Staff. Some of the issues, as stated, were not so clear to us, especially with regards to the travels by business class, whether they were talking about the minister or the minister's subordinate. But in this case, to us, we assume that they were talking about the minister, and the minister is supposed to travel business class. That is supposed to be the case. And so we think that there is nothing wrong with that. But with regards to the other issues, we are saying that those issues have been resolved as far as we are concerned at the ministry.
Minister, this is a very simple issue. They said you should seek approval from Chief of Staff. Have you given the approval from Chief of Staff to the auditors?
We will do that as soon as possible. But as far as we know, we're supposed to get approval from the Chief of Staff. We have done that already. But
and did you give it to the auditors?
We have not done that.
So if you haven't given it to the auditors, it means you haven't done it. This has nothing to do with IGF or this back and forth.
Honorable Deputy Minister, do you have a copy of that approval from the Chief of Staff? Here.
Mr. Chairman will provide it in due course, sir.
My question is, do you have it here?
We don't have it here, Honorable Chair.
So when can you provide it?
Latest by the close of business today.
Today?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Give a copy to the auditors to clear you, and then give us also a copy.
Thank you.
So give a copy to the clerk, to the committee.
Okay, thank you.
Let me take Honorable Opoku first.
Mr. Chairman, I think these events have occurred already. So I'm wondering how the Chief of Staff can give approval for events which, all right, okay. Is that what we are talking about? Yeah?
Honorable Roxon.
Chairman, indeed, that was what I wanted to establish, that whether the approval from the Office of the Chief of Staff came after the finding of fact by the auditors. That's all.
Not the previous one, but we're talking about the subsequent ones, the ones that were, they had issues with the whole arrangement that we have not been doing that. So they wanted us to do that, and that's why we. Thank you.
No, but Honorable Minister, your new explanation is raising a new issue, because the auditors are saying that you make this payment without justification, and that you claim that for the medical refund, you now have a policy on that, as well as the support for funerals. Now, paragraph 397, the auditors are saying that we urge management to provide justification for the payments, failure of which they will be surcharged. Now, the justification here is not something that is something justification that should cover the expenditure you have already incurred, not for future expenditure. But what you are saying, the answer you are giving me is that the approval you are getting from the Chief of Staff is for subsequent payment, but not this one. Which means that this issue is still outstanding. You didn't provide any justification for making those payments. But let's take the issues one by one. Consultancy. If auditors are saying that you didn't have justification for consultancy payment, auditors, what is the reason for you saying that or concluding that there was no justification for consultancy payment? Does it mean that they didn't go through the procurement process in order to procure the consultants? That is why you think that there is no justification for paying the consultants? Auditors.
Honorable Chairman, there was inadequate information in terms of the consultancies. Documentation.
Such as what? Inadequate information, such as?
Documentation covering the entire process.
Come again?
Documentation covering the entire process.
Documentation covering the entire process. So, Chief Director, do you have the documentation now?
Yes, please, Mr. Chairman. It was on an update on their reports, so we did that, and they also advised on the details that the reports must contain.
So, auditors, have they provided the update on that, and you are satisfied with the documentation for the consultancy payment?
Honorable Chairman, not yet.
Mr. Chair, we were asked that subsequent reports, we must show that they are thoroughly reporting, and we've done that. So it wasn't that we should bring the documentation on the past activities, but
no, the recommendation is that management is to provide justification for the payment of 412,000, failure of which there will be surcharge. So do you have to provide justification for the consultancy payment?
Mr. Chairman, these are not one issue. They are itemized, various itemized.
Yeah, so you
matters.
Provide the
Yes.
justification for all of them.
All right, Mr. Chairman.
You didn't do that.
No, we discuss everything with them. They advise on what steps we should take, and we take those steps.
No, but they are here saying that they haven't done that.
Okay.
So who are you going to believe now?
So we'll provide. Okay. We'll revisit the matter, sir.
So this issue is outstanding now. Let's flag it. Clerk, flag this issue, and auditors. Chief Director, can they provide justification for this within 2 weeks?
Thank you, sir.
And auditors, Mr. Doku, can they take this one as one of the outstanding issues, and then you provide us with your findings?
Thank you very much, Chairman. Yes, yes.
Thank you. Let's go to the next one, paragraph 398. Honorable Aka.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Your infraction here is that on October 3rd, 2018, you surreptitiously advanced the Chief Executive of National Board for Small-Scale Industry, Mr. Koshi A. Nyanke, with 100,000 Ghana cedis as salary advance. And the recommendation is that it should be refunded in the shortest possible time. I'd like to know if this money has been refunded. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, this is similar to the issue I raised, that it was in the last audit query, and we made a presentation here to show that the receipts for payment had been supplied to the auditors, and the auditor has confirmed receipt.
All right, auditors, you heard them right. They said that they have done the needful, so why is it appearing here again? Thank you.
Honorable Chairman, as at now, the amount has been recovered.
The amount has been recovered, or documents received.
Receipts.
The amount has been recovered fully.
The money has been paid.
Yes.
Is that what you mean?
That is it.
So Ms. Koshi has fully refunded the 100,000
Honorable Chairman, yes. He has
paid.
recovered.
Okay, thank you.
Surreptitiously.
If somebody started a statement with surreptitiously, he would definitely not believe what answers have been provided. All right, so let's move on to paragraph 403. Honorable Dakwa.
Thank you, Chairman. So contrary to Section 20 of the Public Procurement Act, management failed to obtain at least the required minimum quotations from different sources in respect of procurements totaling 199,480 Ghana cedis and 20 pesos. Okay. So you are aware that not obtaining at least about 3 quotations, it doesn't lead to you getting value for money, because when you go to one person, you're not able to compare to ensure that you are spending your money judiciously, right? So, I mean, in this case, you accept that that's what happened in respect of the following PVs in the table. You accept that, right? Okay, good. Can you tell us what processes you've put in place to ensure that since this was reported in the 2019 report, you are exercising strong oversight on your procurement processes and ensuring that you're getting multiple quotations from different companies? Can you tell us what processes have been put in place?
Yeah. First, across the functions of the chief accountant, myself as an approving officer, chief director, and the internal auditor, we have all put in place strict measures to ensure that we have all the procurement documents before processing. With respect to the record of the past transactions, we have also, where we can retrieve the existing documents, we've also updated our documentation with that.
Can you please elaborate? Retrieve what documentation? You didn't go to multiple sources, you went to one. Yeah. So what documentation are you retrieving?
The issue was on our inability to frequently update our list of suppliers. Yeah. Yes, so as the internal auditor is assuring, we did provide the procurement documents subsequently. Yes. One of the reasons why they raised it was the delay in providing the document from the procurement team. Yeah.
All right, auditors, are you satisfied with what he's saying? He's saying they provided the required documentation to you.
Honorable Chairman, they provided it. Subsequently, they provided it.
Okay, all right. I think we've all accepted that the infraction was made and the right processes have been put in place. The auditor is satisfied, so. Chairman. Well, I leave it to the chair when it comes to prosecution. So the chair, once the infraction has been made and they've accepted it, I yield to the chairman. No, I'm not recommending. Chairman or recommend.
Thank you, Honorable Dakwa. Looking at the 5 items involved, the item 4, which is a hotel bill, and then the item 5, air tickets. Well, the issue about procuring 3 quotations will actually not be necessary. But item 1, 2, and 3, payment for purchase of customized A4 sheets. What is that customized A4 sheets?
I think those A4 sheets that have been watermarked, and we have ceased that practice actually. We ceased that practice subsequently.
But if it's watermark one or customized, you could have gotten a quotation from 3 different printers.
I think for that we subsequently provided a quotation. For the hotel, we were asked to prepare an agreement and sign the hotels that. No, I'm not talking about the hotel. Yes.
Why didn't you provide the quotations at the time of the audit? Use the mic, please.
During the audit process, quite a lot of documentation is provided, and where there are gaps, we fill in those gaps. So,
Nobody reported that you did not provide quotation. That is why it found its way to the report. The payment for supply of ABC, smart UPS, and kilowatts.
Mr. Chairman, I believe that the auditor said subsequently they are satisfied with the documentation.
I heard her. I heard her, but I want to interrogate you.
First, my rule is to furiously insist that even if they don't find the document, they have to look through and find out whether it was provided, and they'll confirm to that the process, whatever it is, I make sure that we try and find it, try and retrieve the document, because typically it goes through 3 people, and if we haven't seen that process, I'm quite sure we will not authorize payment. So
let's move on to paragraph 3A6. That's paragraph 3A6. That's energy. Okay, that's energy. So we are done. We are done with the Ministry of Trade and Industry. Honorable Minister, Deputy Minister, you are discharged. Let's have Ministry of Fisheries.